Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Series where I preview and predict every men's college basketball conference tournament. And this is the 9th of 31 podcasts. And this one is going to be the West Coast Conference Tournament, which is going to be a lot of fun. And it all begins on Thursday, March 4th. With the first round. The second round is Friday, March 5th. The third round, which is the quarterfinal, Saturday, March 6th. The semifinals, Monday, March 8th. And the championship is Tuesday, March 9th. So, without further ado, here we go. First round, Thursday, March 4th, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, p.m. 9-seeded San Diego against 8-seeded San Francisco. San Diego 3-10 on the year, 2-7 in conference play. San Francisco 10-13 on the year, 4-9 in conference play. My projection here is San Francisco by 3.5, total 141.5. Therefore, San Francisco to the second round. And the last of the first round games at midnight Eastern Time. You have 10-seeded Portland against 7-seeded Santa Clara. Portland 6-14 on the year, 0-11 in conference play. Santa Clara 10-7 on the year, 4-5 in conference play. My projection here, Santa Clara by 13, total 143. Therefore, Santa Clara to the second round. And again, I don't project totals with teams that have already played a game in a conference tournament in theory because it's hard to project totals and it's pretty easy to project the sides. So the second round, Friday night, 9 o'clock. Eastern Time, 8-seeded San Francisco against 5-seeded Loyola Marymount. Marymount 12-8 on the year, 7-5 in conference play. My projection, Marymount by 3.5. Therefore, Marymount to the third round. And the last of the second round games, midnight Eastern. You got 7-seeded Santa Clara against 6-seeded Pacific. Santa Clara 10-7 in the year, 4-5 in conference play. And Pacific 9-8 on the year, 6-7 in conference play. My projection, Santa Clara by 2.5. Therefore, Santa Clara advances to the third round. The third round, which is Saturday, March 6th, 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPNU. 5-seeded Loyola Marymount against 4-seeded St. Mary's. St. Mary's on the season. 13-8 on the year, 4-6 in conference play. My line for this is St. Mary's by 2.5. Therefore, St. Mary's to the semifinals. 7-seeded Santa Clara against 3-seeded Pepperdine. Pepperdine 11-11 on the year, 7-6 in conference play. Pepperdine I project as a 2-point favorite over Santa Clara. Therefore, Pepperdine to the semifinals. So the semifinals is chalk. And by the way, that game midnight on ESPN2. Semifinals, 9 o'clock Monday night, March 8th on ESPN. You have 4-seeded St. Mary's against 1-seeded Gonzaga. My line, Gonzaga by 15.5. Gonzaga to the championship. As Gonzaga, obviously, one of the best teams in the country. And then the other semifinal matchup would be midnight Eastern on ESPN2. You have 3-seeded Pepperdine against 2-seeded BYU. Pepperdine, great year, obviously, led by Colby Ross and Kessler Edwards. BYU's been awesome. They've been ranked at times this season. Led by Alex Barcelo, Brandon Averette, and Purdue transfer Matt Harms. And I project BYU as a 7.5-point favorite. Therefore, BYU to the championship game. And the championship game, Tuesday, March 9th, 9 o'clock, ESPN. Number 2 BYU against number 1 Gonzaga. I just talked about BYU with their star players at Barcelo, Averette, and Harms. Gonzaga, obviously, led by Corey Kispert, Drew Timme, Jalen Suggs, and Joel Ayayi. Those are pretty much their big four. My projection is Gonzaga by 7.5. Therefore, Gonzaga gets the auto bid, and regardless of what happens in this tournament, they will be the number 1 overall seed heading into the tournament. Maybe barring Michigan winning the Big Ten tournament if Gonzaga loses to, like, St. Mary's in the semifinals. But I doubt that happens. But regardless, if they lose to BYU in the championship game, I don't see them dropping from the number 1 overall. I think Michigan has maybe a 2% chance at it, perhaps. But I expect Gonzaga to be the number 1 overall seed, and I think BYU will be in the field comfortably, barring a loss to Pepperdine. And if they lose to Pepperdine, maybe they drop to the first 4 or barely get in, and maybe there's a last bye. And then I would say Pepperdine and maybe St. Mary's, but more likely Pepperdine than St. Mary's to the NIT now that the NIT has been cut to 16 teams from 32 teams. So there you have it for the West Coast Conference Tournament predictions. The next podcast that will be recorded for conference tournament predictions will be the Southern Conference. Hope you guys have a great night, everyone.